Hopefully I sound better, because if not, me and this lavalier microphone are gonna have some problems. What's up guys, MC Personal Finance here, and welcome back to another video. Now in this video, we're gonna be discussing how you can retire with millions of dollars. And I'm not exaggerating when I say millions. I'm gonna get into that in this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this with your friends if you want them to retire with millions of dollars as well. Share this with your parents, share this with everyone you know, because who doesn't want to retire early and just living the dream? So now that I say that, you're probably wondering, Manny, how do you retire with that much money? Are you gonna tell me to go buy the next Tesla before it shoots up like hundreds of percents in the next 5 years? And while you could do that, that's a lot harder than what I'm gonna be going over in this video. In this video, I'm gonna be discussing Roth IRAs. And you may be even thinking, why does retiring with millions of dollars matter? Well, I'm sure you're not thinking that, because I mean, who doesn't want millions of dollars? Why Roth IRAs specifically are important is because no one wants to work until they die. A lot of people don't even want to work in general, and I totally get that. And my question to you is, would you rather work until you were 65 or 45? Now, Roth IRAs by themselves aren't gonna make you be able to retire at 45, but it makes it a lot easier to retire, and for some other benefits that we'll talk about later. So what is a Roth IRA? A Roth IRA is a retirement account, just like a traditional IRA or 401k. But the difference between a Roth IRA and those other two that were mentioned is that this is post-tax money. So in a 401k or a traditional IRA, you take the money that you receive pre-tax before they take all the taxes out, and you contribute it to those accounts. With the Roth IRA, after you get taxed, that's when you contribute the money to the account. And this is important for when you go to withdraw it, because the big thing that separates Roth IRAs from those other two are that the gains and contributions don't get taxed. Now, there are some income limits that apply. Like for singles, you have to be making less than $140,000 a year. And if you're married, you have to be making a combined less $208,000 a year. But there is something called a backdoor IRA, and I might make a video on that later on, we'll see. But if you're below those income limits, Roth IRAs are definitely the way to go for retirement. And until you turn 50, there's a $6,000 per year contribution limit, but after you turn 50, then it goes up to $7,000 per year until you can withdraw it penalty and tax-free at 59 and a half years old. You can only contribute earned income to this, so this includes W-2, if you're self-employed, income from that, and it doesn't include interest income or dividend income because you didn't technically earn that income. I've been learning about that one in tax class. Shout out accounting, even though sometimes it makes me want to drop out and never look at a tax form again. But back to the point, just earned income in general. And as I mentioned before, you can withdraw it tax-free and penalty-free after the age of 59 and a half. I don't know why they chose that number, not just 59 or 60, but that's just what the number is, 59 and a half. Unless you withdraw for the purchase of a new home for the first time. If you're a first-time home buyer, you can withdraw from your Roth IRA with no taxes or penalties, or to pay for higher education for either yourself, a spouse, a child, or a grandchild. There's also other stuff such as unreimbursed medical expenses, and that gets more into the tax side. Like they have to be more than 7.5% of your adjusted gross income. And I would suggest talking to an accountant before doing something like that. So me in 1.5 years after I graduate. And you may be wondering, what happens if I do withdraw early? Well, then you'll be subject to a 10% penalty. So whatever you withdraw, you'll get taxed on that 10%. And you don't want to do that. You want to let it grow in the account. So that way at 59 and a half, you can withdraw tax-free and penalty-free. Now, something to note, the Roth IRA itself is not something that'll invest for you. It's basically like a brokerage account, so you're gonna have to pick the stocks, you're gonna have to pick the options, whatever you choose to invest with. If you only contribute $6,000 and then don't touch it, it'll still be $6,000 when you come to withdraw it. So that's just a big mistake to potentially avoid, because you don't want to put in all this money in a Roth IRA thinking it's growing on its own, and then when it's time to retire, you have a lot less money than you thought. And when it comes to withdrawal, there also is a 5-year rule. So this only applies to earnings. So you can withdraw your contributions from a Roth IRA at any time, at any age, with no penalties or taxes. But with the 5-year rule, which applies to earnings, is basically saying you have had to have the Roth IRA for at least 5 years. And not even that specific to Roth IRA, the first Roth IRA that you opened, but after that you can withdraw without a penalty from your earnings once you hit 59 and a half years old. So as I mentioned before, I mentioned the traditional IRA and the 401k and the pre-tax versus post-tax. So why is that important? Why is Roth IRA important? Well, right now, when you're a lower income earner, such as college students like myself, or if you're even just getting out of college, if you expect to make more money down the line, you want to contribute your post-tax earnings now while you're at a lower tax bracket rather than later down the line where you're making more money at a higher tax bracket. Then that's when you want to start using a traditional 401k or a traditional IRA. So that way you can lower your income then when you're making more money to get you in that lower tax bracket versus now where it wouldn't matter whether I'm in a lower tax bracket or not because I am at the lowest tax bracket. So my pre-tax income doesn't really matter as much as it will 5-10 years down the line. And also with that, with the traditional IRA and the 401k, you will have to pay taxes on your earnings when you do withdraw. So like I mentioned before, for lower income earners, why is it important to start now? Well, because of compound interest. I'll link the video to when I talked about compound interest and why it's so important, and that can really help. And it's not to say that you can't start opening a Roth IRA at any time, but the best time to start is right now, as early as possible. You may be wondering, where can I open up a Roth IRA? This all sounds great. I want to retire with millions of dollars. I want to continue to get that compound interest. Well, most brokerages such as Vanguard or Charles Schwab, actually have mine through Vanguard. They have options to open up a Roth IRA. So if you already have a brokerage account with them, it's really easy to just set up a Roth IRA as well, where you can manage it in the same place as you would your regular brokerage account. So if you want to retire with millions and be able to withdraw your earnings tax-free and penalty-free, the Roth IRA is the way to go. I don't see a better option, again, for right now, especially if you're a lower income individual. Yes, so thanks for watching. Let me know down below if you have any retirement accounts, such as a Roth IRA or even a traditional IRA or 401k. No matter which retirement account you have open right now, it's better than not having one open. It's better to have it early and starting now. That way it'll make retiring a lot easier and you can retire at a younger age. Let me know when you want to see it in the next video. Until next time, peace.